Logging back in for the first time in a while. Let's see how the bank's looking. Not bad, not bad. Maybe I'm not a total poor. Well, that's not good. Your mentality when trying to make money in Ironman mode should revolve around trying to get the most XP for all of your resources. In a lot of cases, this can mean setting up a sort of material pipeline, which we'll get more into later. But a good example would be mining ores at Motherlode Mine, smithing bars at the blast furnace, turning those bars into plate bodies, and then using those plate bodies at Giant's Foundry, instead of just alching them. Always figure out the best way to use everything you have. This also means I wouldn't sell your runes. Outside of what you choose to do with your raw resources as an Ironman, you want to focus on getting raw cash and alchables. A quick note to Ultimate Ironmen. I just wanted to mention that this video will not focus on Ultimate Ironmen because sadly, I cannot offer the kind of help that they need.
I don't want to be alive, I just want to die today, I just want to die.
Sorry, Ultimate Ironman. So your financial state before unlocking high alchemy may be looking a little rough, but you still have options to make some money while getting some much needed levels. If you don't mind playing a little shopscape, you can hop worlds buying all the gems at the store in Khalid. Just cut the gems with a chisel and sell them back for some quick and easy cash. The restock time is slow, and this method depends on shops being fully stocked and no competition. Good for getting some quick cash starting out, but not for long-term XP gains. Thieving is one of the most reliable skills to generate raw GP on an Ironman long-term. After death to the Dorgashan, you unlock the ability to steal from the ham storerooms. Even if you don't have the level to high alch yet, you can sell the jewelry you get to the store in Port Sarum for decent profits. Having to sell the jewelry really holds this method back in terms of XP, but other thieving methods would really like you to have the rogue's outfit. But for that, you're going to need some agility levels, and that's where the next method comes in. Now I get it, running the agility pyramid is a little bit like going to church. It's tedious, it's repetitive, and everyone that talks to you is a little bit racist. But if you steal their precious artifacts and sell them on the black market, then you can actually make a pretty decent profit. There are more money makers available in the early stages of the game, but by now you should be getting close to the magic level for your bread and butter. You gain access to the high alchemy spell at level 55 magic, and it's going to be your best friend. What is little more than an inventory saving solution for a main account is one of your primary ways of generating raw GP. Most of the metal items you get as drops are safe alchs. I don't really think it's worth banking all of them so you can save them for Giant's Foundry or anything. You should start to really rack up a good stack of these as you work through your Slayer levels and your combat and bossing. Some metal items are useful for clue scrolls though, so if you're lazy like me about building your stash units, then I would recommend downloading the Emote Clue plugin so that you can see what you need to keep for those. If you're looking for alchs here and now, you can go do Last Man Standing and trade in your points for rune arrows. Soul Wars is another great source of alchs and cash for Ironmen. But maybe what you need is a good free-to-play moneymaker, and for that I recommend checking out Crack the Clue 3. You can get inside the Varrock Bank in World Hop, grabbing all the ruby rings and either high alching them or selling them to the store in Port Sarum like we talked about before. This method sort of goes against what I said before about trying to get XP while you make money, but it is one of the best free-to-play money makers in the game, so I thought I'd include it. There's a video on my channel of how to do Crack the Clue 3 if you're interested. Circling back around to thieving, you're going to need a little bit of gear to get this going for you. The rogue's outfit is absolutely necessary. Dodgy necklaces are nice, and the Ardon Diary is very nice depending on where you're thieving. Here are a few examples of thieving methods at different levels so you can get an idea of what thieving can do for your account. It's really not the best money at any point, but it is consistent and it's a skill that's useful to have anyway. Alright, this is the whole reason I made this video. It's important that you set up what I'm going to call material pipelines. to handle the resources on your Ironman. There's always a way to get either XP or money out of your resources, and your goal is to figure out how to do both. We've already talked about the first material pipeline I've got here. Mining ores at Motherlode Mine, smithing those into bars at the blast furnace, smithing those bars into plate bodies, and then using those plate bodies at Giant's Foundry. Another example of a material pipeline is mining shooting stars to get gem bags while AFK. Then you go to Motherlode Mine to get gold ore, which you should accumulate plenty of. Make them into bracelets and alch them. Keeping up with your daily battle staves from Zaf, or just buying them from shops, then collecting the orbs you need by either charging them or doing perilous moons before crafting and alching them is another great passive way to earn some income. I won't explain every pipeline here, and I know it's a lot to look at, but I think you get the idea. Get as much XP as you can and still make money. There are 6 examples here, so I think you can figure out what to do with your own resources by looking at what I've suggested. In the mid-game, we'll continue to work with all the material pipelines we just discussed, but we'll also be trying to get our combat levels up, and that will open up some more opportunities for us to make money. All of these options make you great money while getting you XP and resources, and coming with the potential of gear upgrades. That's the mentality we're trying for here. Most of these things represent a big part of your gear progression path, so there's a good chance you'll be spending quite a bit of time at least a couple of these. So if you've seen my gear progression guide, then you'll already know a lot of your gear upgrades are locked behind Slayer and certain boss grinds. You should stack up a good amount of money on your way to some of those drops, but a lot of the good money makers are locked behind Slayer themselves. At around level 65 to 70 Slayer, you start unlocking some pretty decent money makers. Assuming you won't really be able to alch the stuff you get from Dust Devils at first, then your first good one is really Kurasks at level 70. Wyverns and Gargoyles are excellent to AFK, and Brutal Blacks give you some decent resources and prayer XP that's easy to bank, so things start to look a lot better on the Slayer grind financially from then. The final thing I want to cover before we venture into territory that I just assume you don't need my help with if you're there, are some AFK methods, something for you to do when you just don't feel like giving RuneScape your full attention. I tried to list a few good combat methods and skilling methods so you have an option of what you want to do while you're AFK. Hopefully you learned something watching this video. I know I didn't go too deep into the numbers, but it's going to be different for everyone anyway, and it's hard to calculate some of that stuff on an Ironman. And who knows, maybe you know more about making money now. Go away.